first time I heard Emma's voice again, I thought I was finally losing my mind. It was 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in October, 6 months and 13 days after we buried my daughter. I had been lying awake, staring at the ceiling like I did most nights, when I heard it, a whisper, soft and sweet, drifting down the hallway for her bedroom. "Mommy." My heart stopped. Actually stopped. I felt it freeze in my chest, felt the blood drain from my face so fast I thought I might pass out. For a moment, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think anything except, she's home. She came back. This nightmare is finally over. But Emma wasn't coming back. Emma was gone. I sat up slowly, my hands trembling as I gripped the edge of the comforter. My husband, David, lay beside me, deeply asleep with the help of the pills his therapist had prescribed. He didn't hear it. He never heard anything anymore, not since the accident, not since he stopped wanting to hear anything at all. "Mommy, are you there?" The voice came again, clearer this time. It sounded just like her, that same gentle lilt, the way she used to call for me when she had a bad dream or needed a glass of water. My body moved before my mind could catch up, my feet hitting the cold hardwood floor, carrying me down the dark hallway toward the room we hadn't opened in weeks. Emma's door was closed. It was always closed now. I stood in front of it, my hand hovering over the doorknob, my entire body shaking. Part of me wanted to run. Part of me wanted to break down the door. All of me wanted my daughter back. I turned the knob. The room looked exactly as it had the day she died. The bed was made with her favorite purple comforter, covered in stars and moons. Her stuffed animals sat in a neat row along the pillows. Her books lined the shelves, organized by color the way she liked them. And there, sitting in the small rocking chair by the window, was Delilah, the doll. Emma had gotten Delilah for her 7th birthday, just 3 months before the accident. It was a beautiful doll, antique-looking, with porcelain skin, glass eyes the color of storm clouds, and dark hair that fell in perfect ringlets down her back. She wore a Victorian-style dress, cream lace with tiny pearl buttons, and black patent leather shoes that clicked when Emma made her walk across the floor. Emma had loved that doll more than anything. She took it everywhere, to school, to dinner, even to bed. She had tea parties with it, told its secrets, brushed its hair for hours. David and I thought it was sweet, if a little obsessive. Kids got attached to things. It was normal. But now, standing in the doorway of my dead daughter's room at 3 a.m, staring at that doll sitting perfectly upright in a rocking chair, I felt something twist in my stomach. "Mommy," the voice came again. And I watched, God help me, I watched as the doll's mouth moved. I screamed. The sound tore from my throat, raw and primal, and I stumbled backward into the hallway, slamming the door shut, my back at the opposite wall, and I slid down to the floor, gasping for air, my mind splintering into 1,000 sharp pieces. David appeared seconds later, his eyes wild with panic. Sarah, what's wrong? What happened?" I couldn't speak. I just pointed at the door, my hand shaking so violently I could barely control it. He looked at the door, then back at me. Did you go in there?" I nodded. His face crumpled. "Sarah, we talk about this. You can't keep going in there. It's not healthy. You're not sleeping, you're not eating, and now you're..." It talked to me. I whispered. He stopped. "What?" "The doll. Delilah." I heard Emma's voice, and when I went in there, the doll was talking. Its mouth was moving, David. I saw it. He knelt down beside me, taking my trembling hands in his. His eyes were full of pity and pain and something that looked like fear. "Honey, you're grieving. We both are. Sometimes our minds play tricks on us when we're in pain. There's no way. I know what I saw. Sarah, I'm not crazy." The words echoed through the hallway, harsh and desperate. David flinched, and I saw the way he looked at me. Like I was broken, like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe grief had finally carved away everything I used to be, leaving behind this hollow, shaking woman who heard dead daughters speaking through porcelain dolls. "Let's just go back to bed," he said quietly. "Please." I let him lead me back to our room, but I didn't sleep. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening, waiting. And just before dawn, I heard it again. Mommy, don't you want to know what happened? I started to go to therapy twice a week. David insisted on it, and I went because I didn't have the energy to fight. Dr. Patricia Chun was a kind woman with gentle eyes and a patient voice. She talked to me about grief, about trauma, about the mind's way of protecting itself from unbearable pain. She said hallucinations weren't uncommon after losing a child. She said my brain might be creating these experiences as a way to stay connected to Emma, to not have to face the finality of death. I nodded. I agreed. I said all the right things. But every night, I heard that voice. At first, it was just calling for me. Mommy. Mommy, are you there? Mommy, I miss you. The sound of it broke my heart into smaller and smaller pieces. But I couldn't stop listening. I couldn't stop standing outside that door, my hand pressed against the wood, tears streaming down my face. David started sleeping in the guest room. He said he needed to rest, needed to be able to function at work. But I knew the truth. He couldn't stand to be near me anymore. Couldn't stand to watch me fall apart. I was alone. Then, 2 weeks after that first night, the doll started telling me things. Mommy, do you remember the rain? I was standing outside Emma's door again, my forehead pressed against the wood. When I heard it, my breath caught. What? I whispered. The rain, Mommy. It was raining that day. The road was wet. The car was going too fast. My legs gave out. I sank to the floor, my whole body trembling. The accident. She was talking about the accident. Emma had been walking home from school. It was only 3 blocks, a route she'd taken 100 times. She was careful. We taught her to look both ways, to use the crosswalk, to wait for the signal. But it had been raining. The driver hadn't seen her. He'd been texting, they said later. Never even touched the brakes. They told us she died instantly. They said she didn't suffer. They lied. The water was red. The voice continued, soft and matter-of-fact, the way Emma used to explain things she'd learned at school. It mixed with the rain. I watched it wash down the street. Mommy. I tried to get up, but I couldn't move my legs. Stop, I sobbed. Please stop. I called for you. Did you hear me? I called and called, but you didn't come. I didn't know. I wept, pressing my hands over my ears. Baby, I didn't know. I would have come. I would have been there. I know, Mommy, but I was alone, and it was so cold. I don't remember how long I sat there, crying on the floor outside my daughter's room. Eventually, I got up. Eventually, I went back to bed. But I didn't sleep. I couldn't stop thinking about what the doll had said, about Emma lying on that wet pavement, calling for me, dying alone while I was home, unaware that my whole world was ending 3 blocks away. The next night, it told me more. Mommy, the man in the car was crying. I had been expecting it this time. I'd been sitting on the floor outside the door, waiting, a bottle of wine beside me that I'd already drunk half of. My head was fuzzy, my thoughts slow, but the voice cut through everything. What man, baby? I asked, my words slurring slightly. The man who hit me. He got out of the car. He was crying and saying he was sorry, over and over, but he didn't touch me. He just stood there, crying while I bled, my hands clenched into fists. I'd seen that man once at the trial. He was 23 years old, a college student. He cried then, too. Said he'd have to live with what he did for the rest of his life. The judge gave him 2 years. 2 years for killing my daughter. He tried to call for help. The doll continued. But his hands were shaking so much, he dropped his phone. It fell in the water next to me. I could see the screen. There was a message on it from someone named Brittany. It said, "Can't wait to see you tonight with a little heart." The detail was too specific, too real. My therapist's voice echoed in my head. Hallucinations can seem very real, Sarah. They can include details your subconscious mind creates to make them feel authentic. But this didn't feel like my subconscious. This felt like something else. Emma, I whispered, "Is this really you?" Silence. Baby, if this is really you, please tell me. I need to know. More silence. Then, so soft I almost missed it. I don't know, Mommy. I don't know what I am anymore. The honesty in that statement, the confusion, the fear, it broke something open inside me, because that's exactly how I felt. I didn't know what I was anymore either, not without her. I opened the door. The room was dark except for the moonlight streaming through the window, casting long shadows across the floor. Delilah sat in a rocking chair, exactly where she'd been for 6 months. Her glass eyes caught the light, making them seem almost alive. I walked slowly across the room and knelt down in front of the doll. Up close, I could see the fine cracks in her porcelain face, the delicate painted details of her features. She looked old, ancient even, like she'd been sitting in someone's attic for decades before Emma found her, or before she found Emma. "Are you in there, baby?" I whispered, reaching out to touch the doll's cold face. "Are you trapped in here somehow?" The doll's eyes moved. I jerked back with a gasp, falling onto my rear, but I couldn't look away. Those glass eyes, which had been staring straight ahead a moment ago, were now looking directly at me. "You're getting closer, Mommy," the doll said, its painted lips moving slightly. "But you won't like what you find." I started researching everything I could find about dolls, possessions, spirits trapped in objects. I spent hours on the internet, reading forums and articles and old legends. David thought I was having a breakdown. Maybe I was, but I had to know. I learned about trapped souls, about objects that could hold spirits. I read about dolls specifically, how they were sometimes used in rituals, how their human-like features made them perfect vessels. I found stories about children spirits attaching to their favorite toys after death, unable to let go of the physical world. But something didn't fit. Emma hadn't died in her room. She died 3 blocks away, alone on a wet street. How would her spirit have gotten into the doll? Unless it wasn't Emma. The thought made my blood run cold. What if it was something else? Something that was using my daughter's voice, my grief, to trick me? That night, I went back to the room with a voice recorder. "If you're really Emma, tell me something only she would know," I said to the doll, my hand shaking as I held a recorder. Silence. "Tell me about the fort." I pressed. "The one we built in the backyard last summer. What did you hide inside it?" More silence. Then, "The blue box." My breath caught. What was in the box? "My secrets. Letters I wrote to you and Daddy, but never gave you. Drawings. And the ring I found in the garden. The one with the green stone." Tears streamed down my face. She was right. I'd found that fort months after her death, when I'd finally been able to go into the backyard. Inside was a small blue box full of letters Emma had written, telling us how much she loved us, apologizing for things she thought she'd done wrong. And there was a ring, a cheap costume jewelry piece with a green stone that she must have found in the dirt. "Oh, baby," I sobbed. "It is you. You're really here." "Part of me," the doll said. "Not all of me, just pieces." "How? How are you here?" "I don't remember, Mommy. Everything's mixed up, but I know things. Things I shouldn't know. Things about that day." "Tell me," I said, wiping my tears. "Tell me everything." And so she did. Night after night, the doll spoke to me, revealing details about Emma's death. She told me about the seconds before the car hit her, how she'd seen it coming but couldn't move fast enough. She told me about the pain, not just physical, but the fear, the confusion. She told me about the crowd that gathered, the sirens, the ambulance. And then she told me something that changed everything. "Mommy, there was a woman." It was 3 weeks after the first voice, and I was sitting in a rocking chair now, holding the doll in my lap like I used to hold Emma. The motion of the chair was soothing, rhythmic. "What woman, sweetie?" "A woman standing on the corner. She was watching. She saw the man texting while he drove. She saw him not stop at the intersection. She saw everything." My heart began to pound. Someone witnessed it. She had a red umbrella and a dog, a little white dog. I hadn't heard anything about a witness. The police report said there were no witnesses to the actual impact. People had only come out after they heard the crash. "Are you sure, baby?" She saw, Mommy. She saw and she left. She walked away. She didn't want to get involved. The next morning, I went to the police. They looked at me like I was crazy. Another grieving mother unable to let go. But I persisted. I demanded they review the case. Look for any security cameras in the area. Check for anyone matching that description. They placated me, told me they'd look into it, sent me home. But I couldn't let it go. I went to the intersection myself, the place where Emma died. I hadn't been back since the day it happened. Standing there, looking at the faded flowers and teddy bears people had left, I felt like I was going to shatter. Then I saw her, an older woman, maybe 60, walking a small white dog. No red umbrella. It wasn't raining, but I knew with absolute certainty. "Excuse me," I called out, jogging toward her. She looked up, startled. "Were you here 6 months ago? On April 15th? There was an accident. A little girl." The color drained from her face. Her grip tightened on the dog's leash. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said quickly, turning to walk away. "Please," I begged, grabbing her arm. "My daughter died here. If you saw something, anything, I need to know." She pulled away from me, her eyes wide with something that looked like guilt. "I'm sorry. I didn't see anything. I wasn't here." But I could tell she was lying. "You had a red umbrella," I said. "You saw the driver texting. You saw him run the intersection. You could have testified. You could have helped put him away for longer. Why didn't you come forward?" "I don't want to get involved," she whispered, and there it was, the exact words Adal had said. "I can't. I have my own family to think about. I'm sorry about your daughter, but I can't help you." She hurried away, practically running, her dog trotting beside her. I stood there, shaking, as the truth settled over me like ice water. Someone had seen. Someone could have helped make sure justice was served, and they'd chosen to walk away. That night, I told the doll everything. "I found her," I said, "the woman with the red umbrella." "I know, Mommy," the doll replied. "I was there. I'm always there." "What do you mean?" "I told you. I know things I shouldn't know. I can see things now. Things I couldn't see before." A chill ran down my spine. "What else can you see?" Silence. Then, "Daddy." My blood went cold. "What about Daddy?" "He's unhappy, Mommy. So unhappy. He thinks about leaving. Every day, he thinks about it. About getting in his car and driving away and never coming back." "No," I whispered. "That's not true." "He blames himself. He thinks if he'd driven Emma to school that day instead of letting her walk, she'd still be alive. The guilt is eating him, Mommy. It's eating him from the inside out." I thought about David, about how distant he'd become, how hollow his eyes looked, how he'd moved into the guest room. "Stop touching me. Stop talking about anything real. Is he going to leave?" I asked, my voice breaking. "I don't know," the doll said. "I can only see what is, not what will be. But Mommy..." "What?" "You need to let me go." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What?" "No. Emma, no, I can't. I'm not Emma, Mommy. Not really. I'm just an echo, a shadow. The real Emma is somewhere else, somewhere better. But I'm trapped here in this thing and it's wrong. It hurts, Mommy. Being here hurts." I clutched the doll tighter, tears pouring down my face. "I can't lose you again. I can't. You never had me, Mommy. Not this me. I'm just a ghost in a doll, telling you things you don't want to hear because I'm the only one who will. But this isn't healthy for either of us." "How?" I sobbed. "How do I let you go?" "Destroy the doll." "No, it's the only way." I said no. I was shouting now, standing up, holding the doll to my chest. "I won't do it. I won't lose you again. Mommy, please. You're all I have left. Don't you understand? You're the only thing that makes this bearable. Without you, without hearing your voice, I have nothing. You have Daddy. You have your life. You have to keep living, Mommy, for both of us." "I don't want to live without you," I whispered. "I know, but you have to. Please, Mommy. Please let me go." I couldn't do it. For days, I held that doll, listening to it speak to me in my daughter's voice. It told me more things. About David's pain, about the woman with the umbrella, about the driver who'd killed Emma and was already out on parole for good behavior. It told me about my own deterioration, how I'd stopped showering regularly, stopped eating properly, stopped engaging with the world. It told me things I didn't want to hear, truths I'd been avoiding. And then one night, it told me the final truth. Mommy, I need to tell you something about the accident. I was lying in Emma's bed now, the doll beside me on the pillow. I'd been sleeping in here for the past week. David hadn't said anything. He barely spoke to me at all anymore. What is it, baby? It wasn't just an accident. I sat up. What do you mean? The man who hit me. He was texting, yes, but that's not why he didn't stop. I don't understand. He saw me, Mommy. At the last second, he looked up and saw me, and he had time to stop. He had time to swerve. But he didn't. My entire body went numb. Why not? I don't know. I've watched the moment over and over, trying to understand. But there's something missing, something I can't see. That doesn't make sense. Why would he? You need to find out, Mommy. You need to know the truth. But first, you need to let me go. As long as I'm here, you'll never be able to move forward. You'll never find the answers. I looked down at the doll, at its perfect porcelain face and glass eyes that seemed to hold my daughter's soul. If I destroy you, will Emma really be at peace? I don't know, the doll said honestly. But I know she can't be at peace while part of her is trapped here, watching you destroy yourself. I picked up the doll, holding it close one last time. I could smell Emma's shampoo on its hair. I'd been brushing it with her brush, washing it with her soap, trying desperately to keep some part of her alive. I love you so much. I whispered. I love you too, Mommy. Now let me go. David found me in the garage at 4 a.m. The doll laid out on his workbench, a hammer in my hand. Sarah, what are you doing? I looked up at him, tears streaming down my face. I have to destroy it. What? Why? She told me to. Emma, she said. I stopped, seeing the fear in his eyes. I know how that sounds. I know you think I'm crazy. But David, I heard her. I've been hearing her. And she's trapped in this doll. And the only way to free her is... Stop, he said, his voice breaking. He crossed the garage and took the hammer from my hand. Sarah, please. You need help. Real help. This isn't normal. This isn't healthy. I know it's not, I said, but it's real. She's been telling me things, David, true things, about the accident, about the witness, about... There was a witness? Yes, a woman with a red umbrella and a white dog. I found her. She admitted she saw everything and didn't come forward. David stared at me. How could you possibly know that? The doll told me. Emma told me. He set the hammer down and pulled me into his arms. I could feel him shaking. I'm scared, Sarah. I'm so scared for you. I don't know how to help you. I don't know how to fix this. You can't fix it, I said into his chest. No one can. She's gone, David. Our baby is gone and we're never getting her back. And I know that. I've always known that. But this doll, it's given me a way to hold on to her just a little bit longer. But it's killing you, he whispered. Can't you see that? It's killing you. I know. We stood there in the garage, holding each other and crying until the sun came up. I went back to therapy. I told Dr. Chin everything about the voices, the doll, the things it told me. She listened patiently, her face carefully neutral. I want to try something, she said when I finished. I want you to bring the doll to our next session. Why? Because I think the doll has become a focal point for your grief, a way for you to externalize your pain and guilt. If we can work through those feelings while the doll is present, it might help you begin to let go. I didn't want to. The thought of taking Delilah out of Emma's room, exposing her to the outside world, felt wrong. But I agreed. The night before the appointment, I told the doll what we were going to do. That's good, Mommy, it said. That's a step in the right direction. Are you scared? I asked. I don't think I can be scared anymore. I don't think I can feel anything, really. Just this pulling, like I'm being stretched between two worlds, and neither one wants to let me go. I'm gonna let you go. I promised. After therapy, I'm gonna destroy the doll. I'm gonna set you free. Thank you, Mommy. But first, tell me, please, tell me the truth about the accident. Was it really not just an accident? The doll was quiet for a long moment. Then, Mommy, do you remember when Emma started having nightmares? I frowned. What does that have to do with? About a month before she died, she started waking up crying, saying a woman was visiting her in her dreams. A woman in old-fashioned clothes. My blood ran cold. The doll. Emma found a doll at that antique store. Do you remember? She said it called to her. She said it wanted to come home with her. Oh, God. The woman in the dreams told Emma things. About death. About crossing over. About how peaceful it would be. How much better than this world. No, I whispered. No, that's not. The day Emma died, she wasn't paying attention when she crossed the street. She was thinking about what the woman had told her. She was wondering what it would be like. And when she looked up and saw the car, do you know what she did, Mommy? I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. She didn't try to get out of the way. She just stood there, waiting. The world tilted. I grabbed the edge of Emma's dresser to keep from falling. Are you telling me that my daughter wanted to die? No, Mommy. I'm telling you that this doll, this thing, spent a month preparing her, grooming her, making death seem like a gift instead of an ending. I looked down at the doll in my hands, at its beautiful face, its perfect features. I asked it, were you really? I don't know, it said, but I'm hungry, Mommy. So hungry. And Emma fed me so well. I dropped the doll like it had burned me. It hit the floor with a crack, one of its porcelain arms breaking off. And now, it continued, its voice changing, becoming something that was definitely not my daughter. Now I feed on you. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the hallway outside Emma's room, my back against the wall, a baseball bat across my lap, listening, waiting. As the night wore on, I heard sounds from inside the room, creaking, whispers, the soft click-click of little shoes on the hardwood floor. At 3 a.m., the door opened. The doll stood in the doorway, its broken arm hanging at an odd angle, its glass eyes reflecting the hallway light. It shouldn't have been able to stand. It was just a doll. But there it was, looking at me. You figured it out, it said, and the voice was all wrong now, layered, echoing, ancient. I was hoping to feed on you longer. You were so deliciously full of grief, but you're stronger than your daughter was, more resilient. I gripped the bat. What did you do to Emma? I showed her the truth, that this world is pain and suffering. That crossing over is mercy. She was such a sweet child, so open, so trusting. It only took a month to make her want it. You made her kill herself. I made her stop fighting. There's a difference. The car was real. The driver was real. I just made sure she didn't move when she should have. Rage flooded through me, hot and sharp. You murdered my daughter. I freed her from this terrible existence. And I tried to free you too. But you won't let me, will you? You keep clinging to life, even though it hurts so much. I stood up, raising the bat. Get out of my house. The doll laughed. Actually laughed, a sound like breaking glass. This is my house now. I've been here for 6 months, feeding on your grief, your pain, your guilt. I'm so much stronger than when I was with Emma. And soon, you'll be too weak to fight me. Soon, you'll welcome what I offer. Never. We'll see. The doll turned and walked back into Emma's room, its broken arm dragging behind it. The door closed softly. I waited until my hands stopped shaking. Then I went to wake David. He didn't believe me at first. Of course he didn't. It sounded insane. But I made him come with me to Emma's room, made him watch as I opened the door. The doll was back in a rocking chair, perfectly positioned, its broken arm reattached. How did... David started. It's not a doll, I said. It's something else. Something evil. And it killed Emma. I told him everything the doll had said, everything I had learned. His face went from skeptical to horrified to determined. "We're destroying it," he said. "Right now." We took the doll to the garage. David built a fire in an old metal barrel we used for burning yard waste. I held Delilah one last time, looking into those glass eyes that had fooled me for so long. "You can't destroy me," it said in that horrible layered voice. "I've existed for centuries, passing from owner to owner, feeding on loss and despair. You think a little fire will stop me?" "Maybe not," I said, "but it's worth a try." I threw the doll into the fire. It screamed. The sound was inhuman, awful, a shriek that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The flames around the doll turned black, then green, then white hot. David and I stumbled backward, covering our ears. The doll writhed in the flames, its porcelain skin cracking and melting, its beautiful dress turning to ash. But worst of all were the faces that appeared in the smoke. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Children's faces, all of them screaming. "How many?" I whispered. "How many children?" David pulled me close, and we watched until the doll was nothing but melted slag and ash. The faces and the smoke faded. The screaming stopped. It was over. That was 3 months ago. Life hasn't magically gotten better. I still wake up crying most nights. I still miss Emma with an ache that never fully goes away. David and I are in couples therapy, try to rebuild what grief nearly destroyed. But we're trying. We're living. We're moving forward, even though every step feels impossibly heavy. We sold the house. Neither of us could stand to be there anymore. As we were packing up Emma's room, I found something hidden in the back of her closet, a journal. The entry started a month before her death, right after she got the doll. Page after page of Emma's handwriting, describing dreams about a woman in old-fashioned clothes. Dreams about death being beautiful. Dreams about letting go. The last entry was dated the day before she died. The woman in my dream says tomorrow is a special day. She says I'll understand everything tomorrow. She says it won't hurt and I'll finally be free. I'm scared, but I'm also excited. Maybe she's right. Maybe it's time to let go. I showed the journal to police, but they said there wasn't enough evidence to reopen the case as anything other than an accident. They suggested I seek grief counseling. I burned the journal. Some truths are too painful to keep, but sometimes, late at night, I wonder about all those faces I saw in the smoke. All those children the doll had claimed over centuries. Did their parents grieve like I did? Did they hear voices? Did they drive themselves mad trying to understand? And I wonder about the antique store where Emma found Delilah. I looked for it once, drove to the street where Emma said had been. There was nothing there but an empty lot. Last week, David and I attended a support group for parents who've lost children. It helped a little to know we weren't alone in this terrible club no one wants to join. As we were leaving, I saw a young mother sitting in the corner, holding a beautiful porcelain doll. It had glass eyes and dark ringlets, and wore a cream lace dress. I stopped walking. "David," I whispered. He followed my gaze and went pale. The woman looked up, saw us staring, and smiled. "Do you like her? My daughter just got her. It's her favorite thing in the world." I opened my mouth, but no words came out. What could I say? That the doll was evil? That it would kill her daughter? She'd think I was insane. Maybe I was. David grabbed my hand, pulling me toward the door. "Sarah, don't. You can't." But I pulled away from him and walked over to the woman. She looked up at me with tired, kind eyes, the eyes of every mother who's ever been exhausted but still smiling for her child. "How old is your daughter?" I asked, my voice shaking. 7, she said. "Her name is Lily. She's been through a lot lately. We both have. My husband passed away 6 months ago, and Lily's been having such a hard time with it. But this doll, I don't know. It seems to comfort her. She talks to it for hours." My blood turned to ice. Where did she get it? "A little shop downtown. One of those antique places. Lily said the doll called to her. Can you imagine? Kids have such wonderful imaginations. She smiled, but there was grief behind it. Deep, fresh grief. The kind I recognized in my own mirror. "Please," I said, kneeling down so we were at eye level. "Please listen to me. I know this sounds crazy, but you need to get rid of that doll. Right now. Tonight." Her smile faded. "Excuse me? That doll is dangerous. It feeds on grief. It will hurt your daughter. It will." She stood up quickly, clutching the doll to her chest. "I think you need to leave me alone." "I know how this sounds," I said desperately. "I know, but my daughter died 6 months ago, and she had a doll just like that one. Please, please, just listen to me for 1 minute." "Security!" the woman called out, backing away from me. "Someone help." David grabbed my arm, pulling me away. "Sarah, stop. You're scaring her." The support group facilitator rushed over, along with security guard from the building. I let David lead me out, but I looked back at the woman one last time. She was holding the doll protectively, looking at me like I was a monster. Maybe I was. Maybe grief had turned me into something monstrous. Someone who saw evil in innocent things, who couldn't separate reality from trauma. But as we walked to the car, I could have sworn I saw the doll's head turn. Could have sworn those glass eyes followed me. Could have sworn I saw it smile. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to David in our new house, staring at the ceiling, thinking about that woman and her daughter, about how she'd lost her husband 6 months ago, about how the timing was perfect. Fresh grief, a vulnerable child, a mother too exhausted to see the danger until it was too late. "I have to do something," I whispered into the darkness. David rolled over to face me. "Sarah, you can't. You can't save everyone. You can't." "I have to try." "How? How can you possibly convince anyone that a doll is evil? They'll think you're insane." Hell, sometimes I still think he stopped himself, but the words hung in the air between us. Sometimes he still thought I was insane. Maybe I was, but I'd seen what I'd seen, heard what I'd heard, and I couldn't stand by and let it happen to another family. The next morning, I drove back to the support group center. I waited in the parking lot for 3 hours before I saw the woman arrive for what must have been another meeting. She saw me and froze. "Please don't call security," I said, getting out of my car with my hands raised like I was surrendering. "Please, just give me 2 minutes. That's all I ask." She looked around nervously, her hand on her phone. "You need to stay away from me and my daughter." "I will. After this, I promise. You'll never see me again. But please, just listen." Something in my voice must have gotten through to her, because she lowered her phone. 2 minutes. I told her everything. About Emma. About the nightmares that started after she got the doll. About the accident that wasn't really an accident. About the voices I heard. The things the doll told me. About destroying it and seeing all those faces in the smoke. She listened, her expression moving from suspicion to disbelief to something that might have been fear. "You really believe all this?" she said when I finished. "I know how it sounds. But yes, I believe it with every part of my soul. And I'm begging you, watch your daughter. If she starts having nightmares, if she starts talking about a woman in old-fashioned clothes, if she starts becoming obsessed with death or seems different in any way, get rid of that doll immediately. And if she doesn't, if none of that happens and you're just a traumatized mother seeing threats where there aren't any, then I'm crazy," I said simply, "and you can forget this conversation ever happened. But if I'm right, if I'm even possibly right, isn't it worth paying attention?" She was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll watch her. But if you come near us again, I'm calling the police." "Understood. Understood. Thank you. Thank you so much." I got back in my car and drove home, not knowing if I'd done any good, not knowing if I'd just terrorized a grieving mother for no reason. But at least I tried. 2 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. "Hello, it's Rachel, from the support group." The woman's voice was shaking. "You were right. Oh, God, you were right." My heart dropped. "What happened?" Lily started having nightmares about a woman in a Victorian dress. She's been talking about death constantly, asking me what it feels like to die, if her father is happier now that he's dead. And the doll moves on its own. I've seen it. I walked into her room last night, and it was standing by her bed, just standing there, and when I picked it up, it was warm, like it had been alive. Where is it now? I asked urgently. In my car, in the trunk. I told Lily it was broken, that we had to take it to get fixed. She screamed for 2 hours straight. She's with my mother now. I didn't know who else to call. I thought about going to the police, but what would I even say? Bring it to me, I said, giving her my address. Right now, we'll destroy it together. She arrived 20 minutes later, her hands shaking so badly she could barely hold her car keys. We went straight to my backyard, where David had already set up the fire barrel again. You've done this before, Rachel said, looking at the setup. Once, I said, with Emma's doll. We opened her trunk together. The doll lay there in the darkness, its glass eyes staring up at us. As soon as I saw it, I knew it was the same one, the same doll. Somehow, impossibly, it had survived the fire, or maybe there were more of them. Maybe this thing, whatever it was, could make copies of itself, spread itself across the world, feeding on grief in every corner of the globe. The thought made me sick. We're destroying you, I said to the doll. You're never hurting another child. Mommy, the doll said, and it was Emma's voice again. Mommy, why did you leave me? Rachel gasped, stumbling backward. It's talking. Oh my God, it's actually talking. Don't listen to it, I said. It's not real. It's not her. But Mommy, it hurts here. It's so cold and dark. Don't you want to see me again? Don't you miss me? My hands trembled as I reached for the doll. Every part of me wanted to believe it was really Emma. Wanted to hold her one more time. Hear her voice one more time. I know you're not Emma, I said, my voice breaking. Emma is at peace. Emma is free. You're just a parasite wearing her face. I grabbed the doll and threw it into the fire. This time there was no screaming. The doll burned silently, its porcelain face cracking, its dress turning to ash. But as the flames consumed it, I heard something, faint, barely audible over crackling fire. Laughter. There are more, a voice whispered, whether in my head or from the burning doll. I couldn't tell. There are always more. You can't save them all. Rachel and I stood there until the doll was nothing but slag and ash. Then we stood there a little longer, neither of us speaking, both of us wondering the same thing. How many more were out there? That was 6 weeks ago. Rachel and I have stayed in touch. Lily is doing better. The nightmare stopped the night we destroyed the doll, and she slowly returned to the happy child she was before. Rachel says Lily doesn't remember much about the doll, which seems like a mercy. But I remember everything. I've started researching, really researching. Old newspapers, historical records, anything I can find about mysterious child deaths or dolls with strange histories. The patterns are there if you know how to look. Children who die unexpectedly after receiving antique dolls. Families torn apart by grief that seems to compound on itself. Stories that go back centuries. David thinks I'm becoming obsessed. He's probably right. But I can't stop. Every time I close my eyes, I see those faces in the smoke. All those children. All that grief. I found 3 more cases in the past month alone. 3 families. 3 dolls that match the description. I've reached out to all of them. Tried to warn them. 2 of them blocked me. 1 listened. We saved that child. 1 out of 3 isn't much, but it's something. Dr. Chin says I'm using this as a way to process my own grief, turning my pain into a crusade, so I don't have to face the finality of Emma's death. Maybe she's right. Probably she's right. But she didn't see what I saw. Didn't hear what I heard. Last week, I joined an online forum for people who experience paranormal events involving dolls. There are more of us than you'd think. People who lost children, spouses, parents through accidents that don't quite add up. People who've heard voices from porcelain lips, who've seen glass eyes move, who felt the cold presence of something ancient and hungry. We share information. We warn each other. We try to track down the dolls and destroy them before they can claim more victims. It's not much. It's probably not enough. But it's all I can do. Tonight, I'm lying in bed next to David, listening to him sleep. Our new house is quiet, peaceful. We're rebuilding our lives, piece by painful piece. I still miss Emma every single day. I still wake up sometimes forgetting she's gone. Still reach for my phone to call her. Still set 4 places at the table instead of 3. The grief doesn't go away. It just becomes something you learn to carry. But I'm learning to carry it. Learning to live with the weight. My phone buzzes on a nightstand. A message from a forum. New sighting. Chicago. 7-year-old girl. Antique shop on Elm Street. Matches the description. Can anyone in the area check it out? I look at David's sleeping face. At the piece there, the first real piece I've seen in him in months. I think about waking him, telling him about the message, asking him what to do. But I already know what I'm going to do. I get out of bed quietly, grab my laptop, and head downstairs. I book a flight to Chicago leaving tomorrow morning. Then I start researching antique shops on Elm Street. Maybe Dr. Chin is right. Maybe this is just my way of coping with loss, of giving my grief a purpose so it doesn't destroy me completely. Or maybe I'm doing something that matters. Maybe I'm saving lives. Maybe I'm stopping that thing, whatever it is, from spreading its poison any further. I don't know if I'll ever have all the answers. Don't know if I'll ever fully understand what Emma went through in her final weeks. What was real and what was a doll's influence. Don't know if destroying these things actually stops them or just delays the inevitable. But I do know this. I'm not crazy. I know what I saw, what I heard, what I felt, and I know I can't stand by and let it happen to anyone else. As I sit at my kitchen table, booking a hotel room in Chicago, planning my trip to Elm Street, I think about Emma, the real Emma, not the voice that came from the doll, but my actual daughter, the girl who loved drawing and dancing and making up songs. The girl who gave the best hugs and always said, "I love you," before bed. She's gone. Really gone. Not trapped in a doll or haunting our house or whispering secrets from beyond the grave. She's at peace. And maybe by doing this, by trying to save others, I can find some peace too. My phone buzzes again. Another message from a forum. Thank you for volunteering. Be careful. They're getting smarter. The last person who tried to destroy one ended up in the hospital, so the doll fought back. I read the message and feel a chill run down my spine, but I don't change my plans. Because somewhere in Chicago, there's a 7-year-old girl holding a beautiful porcelain doll, and she doesn't know yet that her nightmares are about to start, that something ancient and evil has chosen her as its next victim. But I know, and I'm coming. I close my laptop and look out the kitchen window at the dark night beyond. Somewhere out there, in antique shops and estate sales and dusty attics, more of those dolls are waiting for the next grieving family, the next vulnerable child, the next chance to feed. It's an impossible fight. I know that. One person can't stop all of them, can't save every child, but I can save some. And for now, that has to be enough. I pour myself a cup of coffee and start making a list of everything I'll need for Chicago. Holy water, just in case. Matches, a hammer, protective gear, the address of the antique shop, a cover story for why I'm asking about the doll. As I write, I hear a sound from upstairs. David, calling my name in his sleep. I should go to him. Should climb back into bed and hold him and focus on healing what we still have instead of chasing ghosts. But I can't. Not yet. Not while that girl in Chicago is sleeping peacefully, unaware that her life is about to change forever. Not while I can still do something to stop it. I finish my coffee and my list. Then I sit in the quiet darkness of my kitchen, waiting for morning, waiting for my flight, waiting for the next battle in a war that may never end. And somewhere in that darkness, I swear I hear it. Soft laughter, children's laughter, and underneath it, the quiet click, click, click of tiny porcelain feet. Or perhaps, just a beginning, grief is a door. It opens us to profound love and devastating loss. But it also opens us to things that feed on that vulnerability. whether they're supernatural entities or our own destructive impulses. I learned that you can't hold on to the dead without losing yourself. That sometimes the greatest act of love is letting go, even when it tears you apart. That healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to live, to fight, to find purpose in the wreckage. Emma taught me to be a mother. Losing her taught me to be a warrior. And if there's one thing I want you to remember from my story, it's this: cherish the living, protect the vulnerable, and never, ever ignore the warning signs when something feels wrong. Because sometimes the monsters are real, and sometimes they come dressed as beautiful things that promise comfort in our darkest hours. Stay vigilant, stay alive, and if you see a porcelain doll calling to a grieving child, run. Or better yet, fight. What happens next? Did Sarah make it to Chicago in time? How many more dolls are still out there, waiting in antique shops and attics? And what happens when the entity behind them realizes someone is actively hunting them down? The battle has only just begun. But here's what I need you to understand. This isn't just my story. It's a warning. And warnings are only useful if people listen. A message to you. If this story affected you, if it made you feel something, don't let it end here. Share this warning. Someone you know might need to hear it. A grieving parent, a vulnerable child, someone standing at their own crossroads between holding on and letting go. Stay aware. Pay attention to the antique dolls in your life, the ones that seem too perfect, too beautiful. Watch the children around you. Notice if they start having nightmares, if they become obsessed with something they shouldn't be. Choose life every single day, even when grief makes you want to give up, even when the weight seems unbearable. Choose to keep fighting, keep loving, keep living. And if you've experienced something like this, if you've heard voices you shouldn't hear, seen things you can't explain, felt the presence of something ancient and hungry, you're not alone. You're not crazy. There are others like me, others who fight, others who believe. Find us, join us, help us stop the darkness before it claims another innocent soul. Because in the end, we only have each other. And love, real love, the kind that survives death itself, is the only weapon that truly matters. Stay safe out there. And whatever you do, don't ignore the doll. The end. Skull if the story gave you chills, made you cry, or kept you reading until the end. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that remind us what we have to lose and what we're willing to fight for. Candle in memory of all the children lost too soon and all the parents who found the strength to keep living.